It's kind of wild when you stop and think about it. This whole unseen world of microbes just teeming everywhere.
Absolutely. And their economic footprint is, well, frankly, staggering.
Right. Billions of dollars flowing through industries powered by these tiny organisms. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit.
It's fundamental, really. Microbiology cultures touch so many parts of our lives: food, medicine.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive. We've got this detailed market report from 2025 on the global microbiology culture market.
Right.
And our mission basically is to pull out the key stuff for you.
Yeah.
The most important insights, maybe some surprising bits, save you the reading time,
What?
put you up to speed.
And this isn't just guesswork. It's packed with data, analysis. It shows where things stand and where they're heading.
So scale. Let's talk scale. In 2025, the report puts the global market at, get this, USD 142.5 million.
8.1 billion.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It really underscores how vital cultivating these microbes is for science, for industry. It's foundational. And it's not standing still, is it? It's projected to grow.
The forecast goes up to USD 13782.49326 million by 2033.
Wow.
That's a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 6.80%. Pretty steady growth.
Okay, so consistent demand, new developments driving it.
Exactly.
And a big engine behind that growth, something we're all unfortunately familiar with, is the increasing prevalence of infectious diseases.
That's a critical driver, yes. More outbreaks, ongoing challenges. It just ramps up the need for good microbiology. Diagnostics, research, treatments. It directly fuels market expansion.
Okay, so we've got this big growing market. Where's the action concentrate? Let's break it down by region. Who's leading the pack right now?
Well, as of 2025, North America was the dominant player, holding over 37% of the global revenue.
37%. So in dollar terms, that's USD 2012.73 million for North America.
Right.
And growing at about 5.3% annually through 2033.
Mm-hmm.
Within that, the U.S. is the giant, right? USD 2377.04 million in 2025, growing a bit slower, 5.1%.
Yeah, the U.S. is the core market there.
Then you've got Canada, USD 361.53 million, growing faster at 6.1%. And Mexico, USD 274.16 million, 5.8% growth. So
Yeah.
North America is clearly number one for now.
And there are solid reasons for that. Advanced healthcare systems are really strong biotech sector.
Lots of R&D money.
Huge amounts of R&D, yeah. Plus, established diagnostics industries, the big global companies are often headquartered there, and pretty strict food safety regulations, too.
Okay, North America leads. But the report points to another region as the fastest growing. Where's that?
That would be Asia Pacific. It's projected to have the highest CAGR, a really impressive 9.5% annually between 2025 and 2033.
9.5%. That's flying. And they weren't small to begin with. USD 154.20 million in 2025. That's like, what, almost a quarter of the global market?
Around 24%, yeah. Significant share already.
Let's look closer there.
Yeah.
China is massive. USD 820.76 million market in 2025, growing at 9.0%. Driven by biotech investment, you mentioned.
Big time. Huge government push in biotech. And then India, its growth rate is even higher, 11.4% CAGR. Starting from a smaller base, USD 195.42 million in 2025, but expanding rapidly. Think pharma, clinical research.
Right. And it's not just those two, is it?
No, not at all. You see strong growth across the board. Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Taiwan. Southeast Asia as a whole, actually, showing over 10% growth.
So what's fueling all this in APAC?
It's a mix of things. Industrialization, definitely. More investment in healthcare infrastructure.
Higher disease prevalence, maybe driving diagnostics?
That plays a role. Plus, their own biotech and pharma sectors are booming. Demand for things like probiotics is up. Governments are often supportive.
And maybe lower manufacturing costs help.
That's definitely a factor, too. Cost effectiveness gives them an edge. So yeah, Asia Pacific is a really dynamic region to watch in this space.
Okay, leader, North America, fastest grower. Asia Pacific. What about Europe? Still a major player, I assume.
Absolutely. Europe held a big chunk in 2025, over 29% of global revenue. That's USD 2,361.33 million.
And the growth rate?
Solid. Projected at 5.9% per CAGR.
Okay. And within Europe, key countries. The UK comes up USD 396.70 million market, growing quite strongly at 6.7%.
Maybe linked to their food and water quality rules?
Could be. Regulations often drive testing needs. Germany's even bigger. USD 467.54 million, 6.1% growth. Our pharma research demand is likely key there.
And France is significant too, USD 217.24 million, 5.1% growth.
And you see contributions from many others: Russia, Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Italy, each with their own drivers, contributing to that overall European strength.
Got it. Let's move South America.
South America accounted for just over 4% of global revenue in 2025, so USD 309.42 million.
But the growth rate is quite healthy, right? 7.5% CAGR.
Yeah, pretty good growth. Brazil leads their USD 132.43 million market, growing even faster at 8.1%. The report suggests that's largely driven by clinical diagnostics demand.
Okay. And Argentina. Smaller market, USD 51.98 million, but an even higher growth rate, 8.4%, maybe linked to healthcare investments. That seems likely. Increased investment often correlates with growth in diagnostic services. Colombia, Peru, Chile are also showing decent growth potential.
So a picture of developing healthcare focus there.
Seems that way, yes. Greater awareness, more infrastructure investment.
What about the Middle East?
Also around 4% global share. Market size USD 325.70 million in 2025. And the growth rate is notably high, 8.1% CAGR.
Interesting. Saudi Arabia is the biggest market, USD 114.65 million, 8.4% growth.
Correct. And Turkey, though smaller at USD 26.06 million, shows very strong growth at 8.7%, could be their expanding pharma industry.
Right. And the UAE, Egypt, Qatar also contributing. There's a story there, government spending.
That appears to be a big part of it. Increased government investment in healthcare, trying to build up local pharma capabilities. Those seem to be key drivers.
Okay, last region, Africa.
Africa holds the smallest share currently, around 2.20% of global revenue. That's USD 179.14 million in 2025.
And the growth.
A respectable 7.1% CAGR overall. South Africa is the main market, USD 63.06 million, growing at 8.0%. Food safety initiatives might be a factor there.
And Nigeria. Smaller, USD 14.33 million, but still 7.3% growth. Maybe linked to the disease burden.
That's often a driver in regions with significant infectious disease challenges. So while Africa's share is small now, the potential for growth is definitely there as healthcare systems develop.
Okay, that's a fantastic global tour. Now let's slice the market differently. The report looks at the form of the culture media liquid versus solid or plate media.
That's right. And currently, liquid media has the larger market share.
Why is that?
Well, it's incredibly versatile. It's used extensively for growing large volumes of bacteria, for suspension cultures where cells float freely, and it's crucial for industrial scale fermentation.
Right, like making pharmaceuticals, vaccines, or an automated diagnostic test where you need bulk processing.
Exactly. Speed, volume, liquid media often wins out there. But the report flags an interesting trend with plate media.
Ah, okay. What's happening there?
Plate media, the solid stuff in Petri dishes, is actually the fastest growing segment.
Really? Why the surge?
It's seen increasing use, and it's critical in several areas. Clinical microbiology, for one, isolating and identifying specific microbes from patient samples.
Oh.
Food safety testing, checking surfaces, testing food products, and pharmaceutical quality control monitoring for any microbial contamination.
So while liquid leads overall, plates are catching up fast. Maybe driven by advancements like those special media, chromogenic ones that change color.
Precisely. Chromogenic media make identification easier. Selective media help isolate specific bugs. These advancements make plate methods more powerful.
And maybe automation plays a role, and concerns about antimicrobial resistance needing better identification.
Both are factors, yes. Plate media offer that direct, visual way to see and count microbes, which is essential for many diagnostic and QC tasks. They're becoming more sophisticated.
Makes sense. Now, what about the type of organism being cultured? The report breaks it down into bacterial, eukaryotic like fungi, yeast, and variophage cultures. Who dominates?
No surprise here, really. Bacterial cultures hold the largest share.
Just because bacteria are everywhere and cause so many common issues.
Pretty much. Think about diagnosing bacterial infections, developing antibiotics, studying the microbiome, ensuring food safety. Bacterial culture is fundamental.
And the report mentions rising infections and antibiotic resistance fueling this demand.
Definitely. Those are major public health challenges that rely heavily on bacterial culture techniques. But just like with media types, there's a faster growing segment here too.
Okay, which one's that?
Eukaryotic cultures. This segment is seeing the highest growth rate.
And why is that? Biopharma.
Primarily, yes. Biopharmaceutical research is booming. Areas like stem cell therapy, advanced cancer research.
Things that often involve human or animal cells or complex fungi?
Exactly. Also, research into viruses, which often need eukaryotic host cells to grow vaccine development, gene therapy,
And things like 3D cell cultures, personalized medicine?
all contributing. Plus, research on fungi and parasites themselves. As the biotech sector expands, the need for sophisticated eukaryotic culture just keeps growing.
Okay, so bacteria-led eukaryotes grow fastest. Now let's look at the media itself, the nutrient broth, or AGAR. Categories are simple, complex, synthetic, special, and others. Which type holds the biggest share?
Simple media currently has the largest slice.
Because it's cheap and cheerful, basically. Does the job for common stuff.
Essentially, yes. It's cost-effective and supports the growth of many non-fussy microorganisms, good for routine lab work, basic clinical diagnostics, food micro, academic research, the workhorse media.
Got it. Easy, widely applicable. But where's this significant growth happening?
That would be in complex media. This segment is expanding rapidly.
And complex media, that's for the pickier eaters,
Yeah.
the fastidious organisms.
Exactly. They contain a richer blend of nutrients, often from biological sources like yeast extract or peptones, needed for organisms with very specific dietary requirements.
So crucial for, say, identifying difficult pathogens in the clinic or advanced pharma research.
Precisely. Also important in biotech. And this links back to the demand for those specialized media we mentioned earlier. Selective and differential media are often complex formulations.
Right, the ones that help you pick out or distinguish specific microbes, they need those extra ingredients.
Absolutely. They're vital tools for accurate diagnosis and detailed research, allowing you to isolate or differentiate microbes based on how they grow or react in the medium.
Okay, let's shift to applications. Where is all this microbiology culture being used? Food and water testing, bioenergy agriculture, cosmetics, pharma, others. Which application takes the biggest piece of the pie?
Food and water testing. It currently holds the largest market share.
Driven by safety concerns, foodborne illness, contamination worries.
That's the main driver. Public health concerns are high and regulations are getting stricter globally.
Yeah, you need reliable ways to detect pathogens like Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria. Plus, consumer awareness is up, and the food industry is massive. Makes sense, it's the biggest application.
Definitely. Strict rules, consumer demand, global industry scale, it all adds up.
But which application area is growing the fastest?
That would be bioenergy and agricultural research. This segment is expanding very rapidly.
Sustainability focus.
Exactly. It's tied directly to that global push. Think microbial biofertilizers, biopesticides replacing chemicals in farming.
And biofuels as renewable energy.
Yes. Research into improving soil health using microbes, converting biomass to fuel, understanding plant microbe interactions. It's a really active area.
And government support helps push this too.
It certainly does. It reflects that growing recognition of how microbes can help tackle major environmental challenges.
Now, the report dates from 2025, and it mentions a specific global event impacting the market around that time, what it calls Trump's tariff war in April 2025. How did those reintroduced tariffs affect things, especially in pharma?
Right. The report notes that the reimposition of tariffs back then caused a significant disruption in the global pharmaceutical trade.
These were tariffs on goods from China and India mostly.
Primarily, yes. Targeting things like finished drugs, but also, crucially, active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs.
The core components of drugs.
Exactly. And medical packaging, manufacturing machinery. The tariffs range from 10% up to, I think, 46% in some cases.
Ouch. So immediate impact for U.S. pharma companies, higher costs.
Definitely higher production costs. And supply chain delays, navigating new regulations, it created real headaches.
Especially for generic drug makers. They rely heavily on those APIs from China and India, don't they?
Very heavily, yes. For cost reasons, so they were hit hard. Biopharma and vaccine production also felt it. Tariffs on things like specialized cell culture media or cold chain packaging could raise costs by up to 25%, according to the report.
Wow, and it wasn't just the big drug developers, right? What about contract manufacturers?
CMOs, yeah, they had to scramble too. Find new suppliers, maybe more expensive ones, adjust their own pricing.
And then there were retaliatory tariffs from other countries?
Yes. The EU, for instance, put tariffs on U.S. pharma exports. It just added complexity. The report even mentions impacts on clinical trial timelines because tariffs affected the drugs and diagnostic kits used in trials.
So in that chaotic environment, how did market research help companies navigate?
It became absolutely critical. Good research provided vital intel on, say, API price fluctuations, finding reliable alternative suppliers outside the tariff zones.
Understanding the real impact across different market segments.
Exactly. It allowed companies to make more informed decisions about sourcing, compliance, investment, basically to manage the risks.
So data helped them optimize their supply chains, find alternatives.
Right. Mitigate the damage, essentially, and identify potential new manufacturing hubs to diversify away from the tariff risks.
It really highlights how crucial market intelligence is when global trade gets disrupted like that.
Couldn't agree more. It provided the insights needed to adapt and stay competitive.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the companies actually in this market. What's the competitive landscape like? Crowded.
It's described as highly competitive, yes. Key players are really focused on innovation, expanding their reach, forming partnerships.
And investing in new tech,
Mhm.
automation, AI analysis, better media.
All of the above. There's a lot of investment happening. The report also notes it's somewhat fragmented. You have the big global giants, but also strong regional companies.
Who are some of the names that come up? The big players.
Well, you have the household names, relatively speaking, like Thermo Fisher Scientific, Merck KGA, bioMérieux, BD Becton Dickinson,
Right.
but also significant players like Hymedia Laboratories, Neogen Corporation, Icon Chemical from Japan, Charlab from Spain, Hardy Diagnostics, Oxoid, which is part of Thermo Fisher now, is also key.
So a mix of global and regional strength. And the report mentions some recent activities, like deals and product launches.
Yeah, examples like Hardy Diagnostics agreement with Premier, Gold Standard Diagnostics launching new media, Merck expanding reagent manufacturing in China.
It just shows the market is active, companies are making moves.
Constant innovation, strategic positioning.
Exactly. Strengthening portfolios, expanding footprints to meet that growing demand.
Okay, fantastic. So let's try and wrap this up. Quick recap of the key takeaways from this deep dive into the 2025 microbiology culture market. Well, we saw it's a big market, over 8 billion USD in 2025, with solid growth projected, hitting nearly 14 billion by 2033.
Driven by that 6.8% CAGR.
Right. And while liquid media and bacterial cultures are the current leaders in their segments,
Plate media and eukaryotic cultures are the ones growing fastest.
exactly. Regionally, North America held the top spot in 2025.
Now, Asia Pacific is the one accelerating most rapidly with that impressive 9.5% growth rate.
And the underlying drivers remain strong.
Uh,
Rising infectious diseases, huge advances in biotech, and the ever-present need for food and water safety.
We also touched on how external factors, like those trade tariffs in 2025, can really impact the pharmaceutical side of this market. A reminder of interconnectedness.
Definitely.
But maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We've looked at this huge growing market built on the unseen world of microbes. It makes you wonder what other sort of invisible industries might be shaping our world and our economy just as profoundly.
That's a great question. Or perhaps thinking ahead with this intense focus on health and sustainability, how else might microbiology culture be applied in the next decade? Maybe in ways this report doesn't even fully capture yet.
A microscopic world, but definitely making a macroscopic impact.
That's an
And stuff